People can fly. No, that's not a claim. It is that's the game developers for the game Outriders, and Square Enix has a contract with them. Square Enix being the publishers, and they're supposed to give them royalties for the games sold, so they can make some money off of it. And they have not seen a cent yet. This is because as publishers, the sales for the game need to recoup the losses, the money that they spent making the game, developing, marketing, staffing, all that stuff. And I guess they didn't sell enough to make up the cost. So they were supposed to see some royalties come in as of August 16th, 2021, and they haven't gotten anything. So not only that, they don't know how many games were actually sold. Square Enix has failed to disclose that information to the game developers themselves, so they can't answer that question. Interesting. So this is nothing new to the game industry. A lot of publishers kind of do it this way. They want to make sure that they get their money back. They want to make sure that they don't have any losses, and of course, the whatever is left they can make profit for themselves and for the game developers. Movie studios do the exact same thing pretty much. uh, but I'm bringing this up because this is Square Enix. This is a big publisher, and I don't know why people are kind of villainizing. Is that even the word? Square Enix for not disclosing this information. It's kind of hard to tell nowadays in this generation with this type of information, because we have things like the Game Pass. We have the PlayStation Plus stuff where you can get games for free as well. Do those count as something that you account for, or does it count as a sale? Does it Game Pass, when you play your games, does that count as a sale? Does that count as a play? What does that count as? So I think I think the industry is still trying to figure this out. So I think that's something that's kind of throwing off the numbers, and that's why people can't figure out how many there were sold, at least a part of it. Um, but I would think that Square Enix could at least disclose how many were sold in retail stores, GameStop, Best Buy, uh, I guess mom and pop shops and the small places, if those are still around. Um, yeah. So regardless, this is normal for a publisher, a large publisher like Square Enix, and I think it's perfectly fine. I think they should still disclose it regardless. But this brings me to another topic that I wanted to talk about along with this information. So I'm sure that Square Enix will eventually give them what they're owed. People can fly. And if they didn't, I'm sure there will be backlash. I'm sure people will hear about it, and we'll probably have a discussion about it because of the fact that Square Enix didn't pay the developers what they were promised for royalties. But we'll see what happens when that road comes. Um, Now, on the other side of the coin, there are indie developers. There are game developers out there who are still trying to make a name for themselves and still trying to find a way to fund the games that they're passionate about. And I stumbled across a article on Kotaku by John Walker. I will leave a link in the description about this article, and it's a really interesting read about a guy who was developing a game called Scrabdackle. Now, Scrabdackle is being developed by a guy named Jake Friend. I assume that's his name based off his Twitter handle. He talks about it on Twitter, saying that his own crowdfunding had banked him about a little over $44,000 in order to do a Kickstarter and try to get the ball rolling for this game that he's working on. And he got approached by a publisher, which would not be named in the article. I assume not in the Twitter feeds as well. Just to avoid any legal issues. They offered him a $500,000 contract for this game. And after he started reading all the fine print, all the stipulations, all the things that he can and can't do, what he's required to do, the legal stuff, this was a really, really bad contract. And if this game did not go well for him, he would have been out on his ass. He probably would have owed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in debt if the game did not go well. He would have lost the rights to the game itself. All that in the fine print. So thank goodness he read everything. He read the contract. Maybe he got some lawyers involved into it to kind of read things and explain things to him. regardless, this was what was on the contract. This is what they were offering him, an indie developer. And as he's explaining all this stuff, a lot of other developers and a lot of his friends, which were also developers from other companies, they approached him. They talked to him and said, "Hey, I got offered something as crazy as this too. Maybe not as much as this, but pretty much there's a bunch of points on this contract that seem very, very familiar." And it's actually showing another light when it comes to the game industry and publishers. Who knows if this is a big publisher, but publishers nonetheless offering these sneaky, shisty contracts in order to just wring out as much money as they can out of these people and then just leave them high and dry. It's another side of the industry that I think should be shown a lot more, honestly. With the whole thing that's been shown with Blizzard, Activision, Riot Games is now in trouble, of course, with previous sexual harassment lawsuits and disclosure information of their policies and such. Uh, this is a dark side of the game industry. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about enough, and that's why I really wanted to talk about it. So, game developers out there, please be careful with jumping into a contract just because you really, really, really want to get paid to make a video game that you're passionate about. Wait it out, be negotiable, be very cautious about the fine print and what they're asking of you, because there are a lot of publishers out there who are really just trying to get your money without you getting gaining any benefit from it. Um, just be really careful. And as for those who are not game developers, support your indie developers, support them. Not to say, you can't support your big publishers and your big game developers, but those indie developers really pour their hearts out into these things. Hard work with such little staff. They spend a lot more time on these games because it's one, two, three people working on these passion projects of theirs with little to no money. And this is why Kickstarter helps out a lot, but it could only do so much because 44,000 would cover maybe his year of expenses. But you also have to consider things like he has to port it into a different system. That's going to cost money and time as well. You have to do some marketing. That's going to cost money and time as well. You have to hire lawyers. You have to hire a lot of different things. You have to hire extra staff possibly so you can make a deadline. A lot of money goes into these games. 44,000 is not enough. Check out the Kickstarter for it. Check out the Kickstarter for a lot of indie games and support them if you're interested in it. It's not always just about the Blizzards, the Activisions, the EAs, the Microsofts. Uh, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. It's something that I want to talk about in the upcoming episode on Thursday. So we stream lives our gaming podcast Thursdays, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch, and I'll post the episode up a day or two later on YouTube if you guys miss out on that. But join in live so you guys can chat with us and give us your opinion about the conversations that we have a drink, play a couple games, have a few laughs, just joke around, have some fun with the guys. And yeah, I hope I'll see you on Thursday. I'll see you guys.